Bruce Johnson, president and founder of BizScalers, and today I want to talk to you about how to be relentless. Now, if I were to ask you, what is one quality that you think above every other quality will allow somebody to succeed, what quality would you pick? Out of all the options, what one quality do you think more than any other allows somebody to succeed? Now, if you've read a lot of success literature, you probably know the answer. The answer is perseverance. That ability to hang in there, to not give up, is critical to success. And that makes complete sense. Let's just say that your goal is to run a marathon. If you stop anywhere short of 26.2 miles, by definition, you can't succeed. You cannot succeed. It doesn't matter if you ended up quitting at mile 5, 10, 15, 20, 22, 24, 26, 26.1 miles. If you don't go at least 26.2, if you don't hang in there, if you don't persevere until the end, by definition, you cannot actually succeed. So that makes complete sense. Perseverance, more than any other quality, is the critical quality necessary for success. The next step up, of course, would be relentlessness, which is not just about persevering. It's not just finishing, but it's finishing that race at 26.2 miles at full strength, at upright, giving it all that you have. I mean, there's something about relentlessness that just takes perseverance up. It's not just crossing the line, it's crossing the line running. So that's perseverance and that's relentlessness. The question you might be asking is, why are you talking about this today? Well, I'll tell you why. Because today, as I'm recording this, there are 68 days left in this year. 68 days left. And what I see all around me is an awful lot of people resigning themselves to the fact that they won't succeed, and they're giving up. They're giving up. There's 68 days left. That's almost 10 full weeks, and they're giving up. Why? It makes no sense, because they haven't developed that relentlessness in their spirit. And so what I want to do right now is I want to challenge you and give you a couple ideas of things that you can begin to do now that will give you the ability to be more relentless so that you persevere to the end and that you get there better than you are today. I want you to be relentless. So how do you get there? I'll give you 5 ideas. Number 1, the first idea is to embrace the suck. Embrace the suck. Now, why is this important? Well, what happens for an awful lot of business owners and entrepreneurs is they set out with a goal. Let's say I'm going to grow by 25%. And then as they're pursuing that, they realize it's kind of hard doing this. And when they realize it's kind of hard, they're like, I'm giving up. But if you start with a different expectation that part of this is just going to suck, it's no big deal. When the bad stuff happens, when things don't work out according to plan, no big deal. I already embraced the suck. I already figured it was going to be work. I already figured it was going to be hard. And when you start out with that mental mindset, then all of a sudden when stuff does suck, it's no big deal. You don't quit, you don't give up. You can be relentless because you embrace the suck. Most people want it to be easy. If it were easy, everyone would succeed. Just give up on that. Embrace the suck, assuming it's going to be hard. And if it's not, awesome. But if it is, no big deal. You keep moving forward. So number 1, you always want to embrace the suck. The second idea would be this: redefine failure. Redefine failure. Now, why is this so important? Because if you're going along and stuff doesn't work according to plan, and it never does, you tend to give up because, well, I failed. This didn't work out. I didn't close that big contract. We didn't hit this percentage. We didn't hit this goal. And you just give up because in your mind, if you don't attain what you set out to attain, you failed. No, you've got to redefine failure. I love the way that Dan Sullivan puts this. He says, as long as you learn the lesson, you haven't failed. I love that. As long as you learn the lesson. So the only way to fail is if you don't learn the lesson. As long as you learn the lesson, you haven't failed. He's redefining failure. And once you redefine failure, mentally, you stay in the game. Back in my old preaching days, I used to put it this way. I'd say, as long as you get up, you haven't failed. The only way to fail is to not get up. So as long as you get back up, no big deal. What are you doing? You're redefining failure. When you redefine failure so it's not so bad, mentally you stay in the game. You can be relentless. You can persevere. You can keep going forward because you don't think just because something didn't work out, it's all over. It's just a lesson that you're learning on the path to actually successfully achieving the goal that you want to achieve. So redefine failure. It will allow you to be relentless. The third idea, so you embrace the suck, you redefine failure. The third idea is to find a better why. Find a better why. If you're ever pursuing something and you're thinking about giving up on it, what that should tell you is you don't have a sufficient why. I remember back in my old college ministry days, that's the first time I remember hearing somebody say, if someone has a sufficient why, they can handle any how. But when somebody doesn't have a sufficient why, they'll give up on the how. You have to find a sufficient why. If you're thinking about giving up, if it's the end of the year and you're thinking, I can't hit this goal, might as well just give up, then what it should tell you is you don't have a sufficient why. Because when you have a sufficient why, you never give up. When you have a sufficient why, you keep doing whatever it takes. You embrace the suck, you do the hard stuff, you go through the obstacles because there's a why that is so compelling. Now that why could be your family, that why could be something for you personally, it could be your team. You've got to find whatever that why is, but if you're thinking about giving up, it's telling you don't have a sufficient why. You want to be relentless. You want to not only cross the line, but you want to cross the line in the best shape you've ever been. Well, then you have to find a why that's compelling enough for you personally that you don't want to give up. So that's number 3. So embrace the suck. You redefine failure. You now have a better why. The 4th thing is that you need to focus in on what you can control, not what you can't. Focus on what you can control, not what you can't. The vast majority of people spend way too much time focusing on things they can't control. In business, we talk about the difference between leading metrics and lagging metrics. So leading metrics, the things that you can do to produce a result, lagging metrics, the result. If you're focusing in on the result, things that you have very little control over, like should this company here give us $250,000 for this or not? If you're focusing on that result, that's something you don't have control over. You don't control their budget, you don't control their decision making, you don't control the priorities of how they're going to invest their capital. So if you're focused in on the result, you're probably going to want to give up. But if you focus on the only thing that you have control over, which is you, right? The leading metrics, the focus on the things over which you have control. So normally I make 10 calls a day. So now to finish out this year well, I'm going to make 20 calls a day. I'm going to double it because I can't have control over my production. I can't control the results. And if I get through more no's, I'm going to definitely get to more yeses. So I'm just going to increase my production. When you focus in on what you can control, you don't lose power. When you're focusing on what other people control, you lose power. You lose hope because I can't control them. I can only control me. The more that you focus in on you, the better you're going to be at persevering and the better you're going to be at being relentless. Because relentless people don't worry about what everyone else is thinking, what everyone else is doing, because they don't have control over that. They focus all of their control on them and what they're doing, and that allows them to persevere even when everything else is falling apart. They just focus on how can I respond to this? I've learned the lesson. I've got a compelling why. I'm going after this thing. I'm not going to give up, and I've already embraced the fact that this is going to be hard. See how they all fit together? And the 5th and final idea I want to give for you today is that if you really want to be relentless, continually challenge yourself to one-up yourself. Remember, perseverance is I'm going to cross the line. But people who are relentless don't just want to cross the line. They don't want to crawl across the line, right? They want to make sure that they're a better version of themselves when they actually do cross the line. They want to make sure that they're pushing themselves so that this month they're better than last month, that last month they were better than the month before, that this quarter were better than last quarter, that this year were better than last year. So everything that you're doing, whatever that goal is that you're pursuing, if you want to be relentless, I would encourage you to continually, month after month, quarter after quarter, challenge yourself. How can I push myself to be a better leader? How can I push myself to be a better manager? How can I push myself to be a better cash conversion cycle person, right? Like how can I get better at financial modeling? How can I get better at building morale in my team? Whatever the thing would be, how can you get better at that? Because if you continually challenge yourself to be better than you were before, that pushing yourself is the kind of thing that a relentless person does. Remember, relentlessness, it's being unrelenting in the pursuit of that thing. Don't just finish it. Finish it better than you ever thought you could. And when you have that kind of spirit in you, that's going to become infectious. Not only are you going to be relentless, but your people are going to start being relentless. And when you have a team of people who are relentless, you're going to start knocking down those goals in ways that you haven't in the past. It's not just about persevering, it's being relentless in the pursuit of those goals. And if you start thinking like that, you're never going to allow a date on a calendar to somehow slow you down. Who cares if there are only 12 days left in the year, or 200 days left in the year, or 14 days left in the year, or 162 days left in the year? It doesn't make any difference. You just give it your best. You're relentless in the pursuit of whatever that thing is that you want to go after. So hopefully that was helpful for you today. Mentally you get charged. You're going to rush to the end of the year and get ready for an incredible next year. So remember, embrace the suck, redefine failure, find a better why, focus on what you can control, not what you can't control, and make sure you continually push yourself to one-up yourself. Now, hopefully you found that helpful. If you did, I'd encourage you to make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're listening to this as a podcast, make sure you subscribe there. If you have some other business owners and entrepreneurs that you know that need to hear this message, make sure you pass it along to them as well. Because my commitment to you each and every week is to make sure that I'm helping you find tactical things that you can do to build a more scalable and profitable business. If you need to contact me, you can do that anytime at bruce@bizscalers.com, BIZSCALERS.com. And until next time, to your accelerated success, Bruce out.